Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Johnny Disc Golf here with another interview. This time, I am joined by the current world champion, Mr. Isaac Robinson. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Corey? Doing well.
Good, and good to hear. We're on. I mean, the women are playing a major right now, so it's hard to say the tour is on a break, but it seems like the men's side of the field is taking a little bit of time to relax, take a breath. Where are you? What are you doing with this little bit of off time that you have?
Yeah, so I drove right after Maple Hill, drove back home to Georgia to spend about a week and a half before USDGC starts.
Mm-hmm.
Just back at home, kind of relaxing, spending time with family and friends that I haven't seen in several months. So it's been good so far.
Yeah, I can imagine. All things considered, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind over the last month or even in longer. What are you doing? Are you doing anything off the course? Are you like just straight at home repping putts, or are you doing anything like just setting your mind aside from disc golf?
Been practicing a good bit, kind of working out. Other than that, just kind of relaxing a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, going over to family's house, extended family that lives in town, going to see some movies, just kind of relaxing and taking my mind off of disc golf, but also practicing a good bit.
Yeah, always need to stay sharp, especially with two of the most important events of the year still to come. But I do want to backtrack a little bit to the most important event of the year. It's been, I believe, just over 3 weeks since you tapped that putt in on hole 18 at Fox Run. Has it settled in at all? Have you grasped the gravity of the situation? Where are you at?
Yeah, it's definitely settled in by this point, and still, just very excited for um, next year and some opportunities that I think are going to be really fun. Um, yeah, and just kind of working through, just all the stuff that you've got to do post a big win like that, and
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of interviews, a lot of meeting with people, a lot of talking, a lot of messages. So taking care of a lot of the paperwork side of a world championships.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it really, you see or people see the play on the field, on the course. It's like, wow, he tapped in, he won, he goes to this place, plays another tournament, but you don't necessarily realize, like, the media circus that you're doing, whether it's the tour
Mhm.
life, the Smashbox, this, that, what
Yep.
you're doing here with me. Thank you so much. Um, what has it been like? You know, you don't strike me as somebody who's like going out of their way to be forward facing and putting yourself on camera and stuff like that. So what has that experience been like for someone maybe isn't drawn to that naturally?
Yeah, it's been just a lot more interviews and a lot more, like you said, podcasts and stuff. And it's something I enjoy, and I enjoy talking to people on podcasts, but it's definitely getting a little like, all right, let's I'll but it's yeah, it's between interviews on DGN and podcasts and stuff, it's I feel like I repeat a lot of the same
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so it's like, people might get tired of hearing kind of the same take on situations or stuff I'm going through. But yeah, it's been fun reading a lot of the messages I've gotten. There's some funny ones. There's some just really neat ones, and that was probably the most challenging part is just responding to the gosh probably 500 or 600 messages
Oh
that
wow, jeez.
yeah, through Instagram, Facebook, text, all that stuff. So it's
Well,
been
I mean, shouts to you for like taking the time. No, I don't think any sweat on not getting back to every single one of them. But if you did get back to every one, that's impressive.
I think I've gotten back to probably 98% of them. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well, it stinks to be the 2%. I'm gonna apologize for Isaac for all of you at home,
yeah,
but
my bad.
no, I'm just kidding. But I want to know, like, you know, you win. You have a major victory, right? This is your second major of the season, so like, what it is like to win, to go home after the win. You don't strike me as somebody who's like gonna go pop bottles, go get bottle service, and party it up that night. So like, what does the night after a major championship or a win like that look like for you?
Yeah, well, so after Worlds, before the last round, I told the guys, I was like, look, dinner's on me if I pull this if I pull this off. Dinner's on me tonight. So we of course I pulled it off, and then we all went I think over to Stowe across
Hmm.
the notch there. And we had dinner at I think a little pub bar place, and it was actually a really cool place, and it was fun. So we had a group of about 10 guys, with family and some friends over there, and so we just had dinner and then drove back to where we were staying and just crashed because it was such a long day. I think I
Yeah.
got to bed around 1 o'clock that night, um, and then the next day got up, packed, and started driving to Prince Edward Island. So that was kind of that was kind of it.
Yeah, I was gonna like kind of lead into that. A big high on Sunday, and then you have one of the longest travel days of the year. That next day, going all the way up through the Northeast, past Maine, through into Nova Scotia, all the way up to Prince Edward Island.
Mhm.
I've done that drive before. It's really long. It's awesome to be there, but like, what was the I mean, I think no one would have blamed you for taking a week off. What was the motivation level, and why did you just make that journey?
Yeah, I wanted to play another Silver Series for the points, which turned out was kind of a clutch decision, but also just wanted to see Prince Edward Island and a part of the country I hadn't seen before. I'd never been that far north into
Hmm.
Maine and into Canada, so it was a bit of a personal, just kind of a fun little road trip I wanted to take. And then on the plus side, got to play a tournament up there as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome. Honestly, too, like, I'm used to going up there and playing Hillcrest Farms because I've been up
Hmm.
there in years past. But it looked like the course was tons of fun. I know the community itself, like the Maritime Disc Golf, just that
Hmm.
energy is so relaxed and like calming. So I can imagine after Worlds, like going up there would be a little bit of a nice reset.
Yes, yes, for sure. It was a great vacation. We got an Airbnb on the island and just kind of spent time walking around and just looking at all the cool stuff to do
Hmm.
there. And it was a very very relaxing post worlds trip.
One of the things that I made a little bit of I made a video for the PDGA about it, but and something that goes on that I don't think a lot of people are privy to or paying attention to after the World Championships, specifically the MPO, you go and you take the photos for the website.
Mhm.
Talk about that experience and like what was your state of mind at that point, and then the next day, waking up, going out of PDGA, and you're the face of disc golf. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, it was fun because it was something I hadn't even thought about really. I forgot that was part of the process. And so after signing all those discs, they were like, "Here, hop in this car and we'll take you to the photo shoot." And it was really fun because it was just really chill, and Kevin does such a good job with the way he does photo shoots, and
Hmm.
so I just had a good time. It was just such a relaxed environment with myself and Kristen and you and Kevin and a couple of the PDGA guys, and so it was just like a nice way to like blow off some steam and kind of just have a kind of a fun uh, moment that you don't really see, and it was like behind the scenes. And some of the videos that came out kind of depicting that was those were some of my favorite videos that I saw because it was just a side of people that you don't usually get to see. So the photo shoots were really fun, and yeah, I'm super happy with how they turned out, and seeing myself on the PDGA website was it was crazy. Yeah, it was just kind of a it was very very cool.
Yeah. Well, and you had your dad on the bag. I believe all weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong. There may have been a moment where he wasn't on the bag, but especially down the stretch. And then he came by. He dropped you off, or I think the whole
Mhm.
crew came at some point to the photo shoot.
Mhm.
Just talk about that moment. Your brother, your dad, getting in and taking that photo together. What was it like? Just that whole
Mhm.
familial bond.
Yeah, it was really neat because I don't know if my dad has had had photo shoots like that done where he's been a part of it. So
Hmm.
it was kind of a unique experience for him, and then to be able to invite him into that kind of personal like uh, just moment where it's a big moment for both of us, the whole family, and then to see it kind of firsthand. And he gets to be there, and Ezra gets to be there, and it was just a neat way that we could all kind of experience a really neat moment together, and snap a few pictures together. So it was very very fun.
So, last question about Worlds, and then we'll move on to something a little bit more not talked about yet. But the first signature that you signed, as a world championship or as a world champion. I don't know if you remember, it was PDGA staffer Andy Rothschild asked you to sign a disc, and you signed it Isaac Robinson
Mhm.
X1. Now, has the signature
Yes.
improved to 1X, or was that just maybe a call out that Prodigy might be doing an X1 release?
No, I wish there was an X1 release.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, my mind was such a blur. I think I asked somebody, I was like, how do you write an X? Because my mind was just like not in the, I almost wrote a plus sign, I think. And I had to remember like what I was doing. And so every disc after that, that whole day at Worlds, if you were there, you got a special edition signature because it was all X1. And
Ooh.
so that's you know, if you see a disc with an X1 signature, that's somebody who was at Worlds that day.
Wow, I
Um,
like that.
so yeah, that was not intentional, but that's how some when your brain gets a little scattered, that's how things work out. But yeah, so to the 1X now. Got that incorporated into the signature.
Perfect. No, but it's a tricky thing, right? You do signatures, and now like you legitimately you have to add something to it. It's something you have to think about,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Switching topics now to something, you know, a little bit more top of mind. The announcement just 2 days ago, I want to say, about IDGC. Something I wanted
Mhm.
your opinion on specifically. Obviously, your performance at Champions Cup earlier this year was electric, and we all remember it. I think we may remember it as the last great performance at WR Jackson, though. Could you
Mhm.
speak to maybe your thoughts, opinions on that announcement, and maybe what that means for your performance there earlier this year?
Yeah, first of all, I'm super bummed, as I'm sure a lot of people are. That's, I think, the greatest course in Georgia and one of my all-time favorite courses. And so to see it getting changed and potentially taken out is very sad. Um, yeah, it's a bummer. There's not much. I don't know. I've heard mixed reports that they might just be changing a couple things.
Mm.
Um, Maybe not taking out the entire course, but making some modifications to it where they need to. So I think it's still a little bit up in the air about what's going to happen. But once again, I'm not the expert on that, but just some things I've heard. But I will be going down to play it actually tomorrow morning, for the last time, I think, as it is.
Wow,
So,
that's a
a little
special moment.
excited. Yeah, a little bittersweet moment, but me and my dad and maybe some of my brothers are going to be going down to play it one last time before it's changed.
Do you? I mean, I know you're a Georgia guy. I don't know exactly how far is it for you to
About
IDC?
2 hours.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
two
not
hours.
necessarily like local per se, but in the general
Hmm.
region, you've been competing at tournaments there for a very long time.
Hmm.
I specifically when I talked to the PDGA guys about the like Ironman style tournament they do, where it's like
Hmm.
all three courses in one day. Every single time it's brought up, they're like, "An Isaac Robinson shot." Da 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 da. So like it, I when I think of that course, I kind of think of you, even maybe
Hmm.
even before the major championship, but how do does it change how you feel about your Champions Cup victory, knowing that it may be the last one of that kind?
Yeah, yeah, I think it makes it a little bit more special. It might not change how people view it, but it'll change how I feel about it for sure. It'll be kind of just a super special kind of last big tournament that was played on the original course, and it'll definitely mean a lot more to me personally, moving forward.
Speaking about moving forward, the tournament itself is moving forward.
Hmm.
I guess backwards for I don't really know which one it is, but it's going back into the end of the year.
Hmm.
We used to play that tournament. It was Hall of Fame Classic at the end of the
Hmm.
year. I think it was difficult to play that late into the season, and I think a lot of people
Hmm.
were just burnt out by the time they got to that tournament, which didn't really do
Hmm.
justice to how great that facility was and how great the event is. What are your thoughts on moving it again back to the end of the season, and this time likely a week or two after the Tour Championship? Just looking at the dates.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a huge fan. I uh, I wish that we had a major earlier in the year. Having that first major in April was, I think, a huge way to like kind of, you know, kick the season off like, the season's already been going on for a couple events, but the first major always is like kind of like a wake up call a little bit. And so having that first major at the beginning of the year and then having the rest of them kind of spread out every couple months, I think is a great way to do it. And if the schedule remains the same, I mean, we're gonna have USDGC, Pro Tour finale, and then Champions Cup, which is like, I mean, that's three huge tournaments in a row. And that, when you're talking like player of the year or statistics, stuff like that, like somebody could have a great season, and then at the end of the year, somebody just like takes it all away, and just has like an insane breakout end of the year performance, and they get rewarded for that. And it's just like little things like that. I think there's going to be, dealing with burnout and wanting to be home, and you have these three massive events that you just have to put all your energy to. Is an interesting way to finish out the year, and I don't think we've seen anything like that in a while. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in 2024.
Yeah, no question. And you kind of mentioned it, like the burnout effect. We talked about it a little bit in our pre-worlds interview, and just kind of touched on it. But like, you've climbed the mountain to a degree, right? You've taken home the victory that like any disc golfer would say you win that one and they're happy. Boom, great year. Check it off as a
Mm-hmm.
W. Uh, how's the mental energy? How's the mental well going into USDGC Tour Championship, two massive tournaments to finish the year?
I'm feeling really good. We talked a little bit about burnout. I was a little burnt out kind of towards July and August, and coming towards the end, I couldn't be more excited to finish, get that last push. USDGC is probably my favorite event of the year, and then the Pro Tour finale. I'm coming back for revenge on that course, so I'm excited about both, and I'm feeling geared up and ready to go.
I love it, dude. Revenge on Nevin. That's like personal.
I'm very excited. Yes.
Yeah. The player of the year race, kind of the last topic I wanted to touch on before we get out of here. There's obviously three players with great, qualifications, a legitimate pitch to be player of the year. You've got, Calvin, the most consistent. You've got Gannon, the most literal victories, and then
Mhm.
yourself, who has the two maybe biggest victories on tour.
Mhm.
Where do you stand on that race, and where would you put yourself amongst those three?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, Calvin is so consistent. It's insane. Um, I think at the end of the day, you have to look at wins, and I think Calvin has two wins on the Pro Tour. Gannon has three elite, two silver, which I don't know if silver counts as a whole lot,
Yeah,
but
because Calvin has a silver
they're
as
still
well.
wins.
Calvin
Okay,
does have
yeah,
a
that's
silver.
true.
So
Yeah. I've heard some people weigh it as, a major is two elite series. So in that case, I have, the equivalent of four elite series. But I don't know. You can look at it like all different ways.
Mhm.
I think Gannon's probably the most likely. Um, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I think if one of us can, if I can win USDGC or the Pro Tour finale, I think that's a pretty good case for Player of the Year. Um, but the same goes for the other, for Gannon and Calvin. If they win one of those, I think they've got it locked up as well. So these events mean a lot come down the stretch. Not both for the titles they bring, but also the Player of the Year race.
yeah, no question. It's so funny though, because I talked to Gannon, and he's like, I
Mhm.
think Isaac or Calvin should win it. I talked to you, you're like, I think Calvin or Gannon should win it. I think if I talked to Calvin, he'd be like, I think Isaac or Gannon should win it.
Yeah,
I love the
it's
humility.
yeah, yeah, some good guys right there. So
Yeah, no, it's honestly a good crop of disc golfers to be even in the conversation with at all. Um, I feel like the question is obvious here, but or I feel like the answer is obvious here, but looking back, and we'll probably do another one of these in the off season. We can have maybe a more holistic conversation about the season. But
Mhm.
looking back on the season, how do you feel like your do you like in your mind? How would you chalk up this season? Success, 100% goals
Mhm.
hit, like very little goals hit, but you had two great successes, and then maybe like what would you adjust for next year?
Yeah, I think. like obviously it was a success, you know, with two major wins. I think you have to chalk it up as a success, but it's a success in like a different way than I expected. Um, Coming into 2023, I was just hoping to be consistently in the top, you know, 15 at each tournament, and to hopefully, you know, take one or two elite series. And the majors, like I knew they would play well for my skill set, but it wasn't ever like a realistic dream, I would say. And so to be able like my year hasn't been as consistent as I would want it to be. You know, I've missed cash at a couple events early on. Uh, you know, finished outside the top 20 multiple times. Um, and so it's brought success in a different way than I thought it would. Um, and you know, it's been just other ways that I didn't think it would be. So overall success, and couldn't be more excited for the year, obviously. But it was just a different year than I expected, and in a very good way.
Yeah, yeah. Hard to argue with the two majors. Adding the one X next to your name. What does it mean maybe to win? And now I'm just free flowing now because this has just got like. What does it mean to win for Prodigy or under the like I just can't even remember. I think maybe Paige Pierce 1 year with Prodigy, but maybe even not. Like, has there ever been a Prodigy World Champion? And what does it mean to win it for that company with the star on your chest?
Yeah, it's been really cool because you know it's a new experience for them. You know, I think Katrina and Paige both won, or
Very sorry,
maybe it was just yeah, maybe it was just
Katrina
Katrina. I don't
definitely.
know if
Yeah.
yeah, Paige potentially. I forget, but first time on the MPO side for sure. So it's been kind of a new experience both for them and for me. Um, and it's been really cool. I'm loving the stuff that they've been like the commemorative Worlds discs turned out so good,
Hmm.
and just yeah, super excited to kind of see where this takes the company and where this takes me personally, and just to see you know if we can work together to make that into something really awesome. So
Yeah.
you know, we're both in a new boat to say the least, and I'm excited to see where it takes us.
I honestly am super excited too. You kind of nailed it. You're in a new boat. This is a level that I don't think even yourself was mentally prepared to get to probably at this
Yeah.
stage. So everybody I think is kind of making it up as we go and figuring out
hmm
what the best route is. But I wish you nothing but success. It's always a pleasure to see you at the top. You're a joy, a class act, top to bottom. That's all I had for this interview specifically, but I wanted to give you a chance to speak to the people, the fans, maybe even family, anyone across the globe that's pulling for Mr. Isaac Robinson.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, thank you guys so much. Uh, the support the messages you guys have sent, you know, pre Worlds, all throughout the season, post Worlds, it means the world to me. And, you know, I joke about getting a lot of messages, but each message does, it really just, I care a lot about the people out there, and to be able to see them, you know, caring about me and other players, and you know, buying the merch, buying the discs. It's so neat. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for following along and for the encouragement along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You nailed it. For all of you at home, follow Isaac on Instagram, Facebook, wherever possible. Make sure to pick up an archive from, I don't know, your local dealership or anyone who chooses to sponsor this content going forward. That is it for this interview. If you at home would like interviews of all your favorite professional disc golfers, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.